Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani. This is the Rudy Giuliani Show on Lindell TV, on X, and who knows where else. I don't think it's on Radio Free Europe. It just was canceled. Oh, there was lots of controversy about that. Radio Free Europe has, to me, a very patriotic and terrific ring and a history that is unparalleled during the Cold War. It was magnificent, particularly with the effort that was made by President Reagan and Margaret Thatcher and Pope John and all of those who opposed communism. And somehow it inundated communism. And in the last 10, 12 years, I mean, it's been completely left-wing. It's almost as if we're sponsoring left-wing propaganda, which, of course, is ridiculous, just completely crazy. And those people who defended it and said, oh, somehow it's interfering with free speech. It wasn't free speech. I don't know, unless Marxism is part of what we're supposed to be paying for, then it isn't free speech. If you're a Democrat communist, it is, but not if you're an American. It certainly wasn't the voice of any American that had anything to do with James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Dwight Eisenhower, George Patton. Shall I go on? Or the America that the men and women in the Second World War died for, or the one that freed Eastern Europe from communism, because they were sure as hell trying to get Western Europe back into communism. So it's a very, very long overdue decision, as many of the decisions that President Trump has made are long overdue, for which he is taking a tremendous amount of heat. And thank God he doesn't seem to care. He just keeps working ahead on what will make a greater America, which is also what he should do with this chat room thing. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can put, I guess, our perspective on it. Everybody else has given theirs. So my perspective on it is to first go to the result, because in a time of crisis, in a time of war, in a time of change, there are going to be plenty of mistakes that you make that turn out right, and then some that turn out wrong. And then you got to try to figure out how to learn from your mistakes and not make them again. This one, thank goodness, we're having an academic debate about this. What I mean by that is nobody was hurt. It's not like the mistakes that were made by the Biden administration, in which the number of lives passed 1 million that he cost by his mistakes, or by his conscious action, or by his corrupted action paid for by China, or his demented action that came about because of the corruption of his party to run a man of mental incompetence for president. So, yeah, it was a mistake. The level at which you put the mistake is debatable. It shouldn't have anything to do with your prejudices or your biases, but it probably does. And that's okay, too, because this was a no harm, no foul. Could it have been harm? Yes. Sure, it could have. I do think there's a diversity of opinion about this. And I'll tell you a secret, if you want it, how I always evaluated things when I worked with President Trump and gave him advice during the campaign, and even when I give him advice as a friend now. I take a very good look at where the conservative or middle-of-the-road columnists and commentators are. I pay no attention to the lefty crazies, except to read it, and it wakes me up in the morning. And then during the beginning of the pandemic, I was not one of those people that had a paucity of toilet paper, if you get my meaning. So it has uses. The Times does have a use, or it has the use that Ronald Reagan gave it and I did, which is to do the exact opposite. And they, of course, are taking what Mr. Walls and Secretary Haig said, and the president of all said was a mistake, and they've made it into the biggest catastrophe of the century, which is why they're going to lose the political battle on this as well. It's going to be like January 6th that we're going to talk about later. I mean, they pulled off a pretty good charade, orchestrated by Nancy Pelosi's Hollywood daughter, and the people that made money on it, like Sullivan and people like that, people you never heard of because they were covered up. But then they blew even the charade by overdoing it. No matter how ridiculously they lied about it, they couldn't quite get it to be worse than Pearl Harbor, worse than 9/11, worse than the Civil War, although they said that. The other day, I think it was yesterday, one of the Democrat nitwits, I can't remember which one, more than one of the Democrat nitwits, but let's say a chorus of Democratic nitwits, because they get the lines to say, and then it's never one person. It's always, well, that one, the new one is, this was the most damaging intelligence breach in American history. Huh? You mean we've never had an intelligence breach that led to the death of people? Because that would have been more damaging. If this was an intelligence breach, it was one that led to no harm. I think I pointed out a couple like the Battle of the Bulge that were a lot bigger than this. And then there are ones that are a lot smaller than this that are a lot bigger than this. Right? I do think there are things that have to be dealt with a little more directly. Normally, conversations regarding something like this should be conducted in a skiff. They should not be conducted on a telephone. I'm looking for my telephone, but when you see the telephone and they start talking about battle, any kind of battle hypotheticals, maybe it's best to say, see you later, or I'll call you back from a secure facility. I kind of learned that, in the 1980s. Second, I think you sort of have a problem here in completely saying that the reporter is lying. I don't like this reporter at all, and I'm shocked that this even has a modicum of truth to it, because most of the things he wrote about, including about me, were totally untrue. But when he said battle plans or war plans, that probably was exaggerating. But on the other hand, it gets a little too close for comfort for this to be on a regular line. Let's look at the. Do we have the transcript, Ted?
Yep.
I think we have that. It may be one or two. I'm not sure.
Yep. The top one.
The top one. Yeah. So let's look at this and let's see if somebody could go get my cell phone. Somebody just grab my cell phone. So this is on a cell phone. Remember, right? So there is nothing time sensitive driving the time. Oh, please go a little slower, or I'll read it from here. No, you have a different one. There is nothing time sensitive driving the timeline. We have the exact same options in a month. So this was the debate over whether to put this off for a month, which had been recommended by Vice President Vance. Vice President Vance raised two objections to this. One was that Europe uses the canal 10, 20 times more than we do. And therefore, once again, we're paying the bills for Europe. And all they're doing is complaining. Now, if you don't sympathize with that, fine, don't sympathize with it, but he's right. So at least grant him the fact that he's right, that Europe does make a sucker out of us and has for quite some time. The loss of so much of our industry has to do with the fact that we never had reciprocal tariffs, which, unless you're some kind of a nut job, you realize are important. Now, let's go back a little because I didn't read that part of it. So Kent is essentially saying that Vance is right, because Vance said, number one, maybe we shouldn't do it. Number two, maybe we should put it off. I don't like the timing. So Kent is agreeing with him. We'll have exactly the same options in a month. The Israelis will likely take strikes and therefore ask us for more support to replenish whatever they use against the Houthis. But that's a minor factor. Now, here, Mr. Kent should have recognized he's identifying the enemy that we are planning to attack. Now, you could say, no big deal. You could read that in the newspapers. everybody knew that we were going to attack the Houthis, and everybody knew at some point we were. And I probably said it 50 times on the air. I never saw that. But it's one thing for me to say it. It's one thing for the news to say it. It's another thing when you get that verified by a government official. And we do overclassify. And this is a questionable conversation about whether it should or should not be classified. But I still think it's too close to the subject of classified material that you would, if you were being prudent, have it over this. You see, I mean, if I were training them, and I did train a lot of people for intelligence activities, I would tell them, when you see the cell phone and you can have a conversation about anything serious involving the government, bye-bye. Bye-bye. I don't care if it's Signal, Wimple, Dimple, Skimple. I don't care how much they tell you it's encoded. And I'm not even talking about some slimy reporter that might sneak in. Oh, yeah, by the way, what the hell was he doing staying on there? I mean, I know, they can spy, but what kind of an American does that? So now the secretary of something or the director of something made a mistake, and you're going to take advantage of it because you're a slimy American, and all you really care about is how can I embarrass Trump? I mean, you should have gotten the hell off the telephone call and called them up and warned them if you were a loyal American, right? I mean, if you saw something slipping out of the Pentagon, you'd call up and say, "Gee, something's slipping out of the Pentagon that we may need," right? If you saw oil coming out of a jet, you'd let them know, right? You wouldn't go take pictures of it and watch it crash. Oh, maybe you would. I don't know if you're a Democrat. So I know that's an argument that'll go nowhere because they'll say, "Well, he's a reporter, and people have a right to know." Yeah, but also, if this is so serious, and this is so terrible, what they did, well, how terrible was it that the reporter let him do it? That when he was mistakenly put in the conversation, he stayed there instead of cutting it off and telling them that such a thing was going on. So let's go back to it. And what I'm reading from is the team update. If we can move on from that. Can we move on from that? From CIA perspective, we're mobilizing assets to pour now, but a delay would not negatively impact us. An additional time would be used to identify better starting points for coverage on Houthi leadership. May I just add my 2 cents to this, because I do know a little something about intelligence and did this work before some of these guys were born. I love Radcliffe. I even have a debt of gratitude for him for being the only one that would stand up for Trump and me not being Russian spies. He's wrong. This argument for delay was just plain wrong. The Houthis had to be hit 2 months ago. They should have been hit the first moment they harmed an American. They got away with killing Americans for too damn long. And the president's instincts on this, as you will see in this conversation, are 100%. I wish somebody would point that out. The people arguing for delay, well, maybe there's something to their argument I don't know about. Maybe there was something else going on. But here I am sitting here for the last 3 or 4 months complaining about the Biden administration doing nothing. What the hell are they doing delaying? The guy who gets it right on the target is Secretary Hegseth, who basically says, if we delay, it's going to look like, and he doesn't go on and say, we're as cowardly and as much appeasers and weaklings as Biden. But that 1 month can be 1 month of a lot of people being killed if you don't hit the Houthis. And I don't know why some of these people whose judgment I respect very much were on what I would consider to be the wrong side of it. So Pete basically straightens it out. I understand your concerns and fully support your raising this with POTUS, as he should. I mean, he's the Secretary of Defense, not the President. President gets the final decision. That's a rather wise comment there, and wise in the best sense of the word. And things that a lot of younger people in government don't get. They forget they're not the president. Peter's not forgotten that. I understand your concerns and fully support you raising it with POTUS, because now he's going to basically tell them they're wrong. Important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out. Economy, Ukraine peace, Gaza. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. I'm sorry, this is the VP. I think. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, which is why we would need to stay focused on Biden failed and Iran funded. So the VP is now giving a very, very sensible alternative to what he had argued before. Well, that was Hegseth to the waiting a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus. The immediate risks on waiting. This leaks. Little did they know there was a spy and a disloyal American listening in and not letting them know. And we look indecisive. Damn right. Israel takes an action first, or Gaza ceasefire falls apart, and we don't get to start this on our own terms. We can manage both, but it's quite clear, obviously, these are not the best. We're prepared to execute, and if I had a final go or no-go vote, I believe we should. This is not about the Houthis. I see it as two things. Restoring freedom and navigation, which should have been done months ago, right? A core national interest, and reestablishing deterrence, which Biden created. Boy, Hegseth, you couldn't have been more right. At a time in which, somebody could suck up to the vice president so I think there are a lot of things that come out of this that show that these are enormously sound people. And sure, they made a mistake, which might actually show something else they are. Human. And therefore are going to learn from this. The eventual notification 2 hours before it happens, again, close question as to whether or not it's a war plan, a battle plan. It gets close to it by using the words launch and explains that the strike is going to be launched in 2 hours, and then talks about even a place where it might take place, which is where the terrorist is. It would require knowing who the terrorist is, but it's a little too close to the line for comfort, which is why. See that this here? What they're talking about it, launched, or they're doing this right. This should have happened. I made a mistake. I bet it happens next time. And I think that the administration has answered it. I think the administration, if it needs to say one more time, we made a mistake and we're learning from it and it's never going to happen again, that's okay. And I think you just shut up about it and let these guys go hysterical on you, because they'll make it a small issue. The Democrat Party, you can count on them overdoing it because they don't have any legitimate issues. So even if they have a partially legitimate issue, they will exaggerate it beyond all rationality. And since they have no basic principle to rely on, because they're unprincipled people, they'll just go out of control. So, I mean, like that Jasmine woman that would have resulted in any other person if they were white being tossed out of the Congress or censured. Imagine mocking a man in a wheelchair in front of a human rights group. What kind of human rights group is it, too, if they laugh at it? They should all be fired from the human rights group. Yeah, that's funny. It's like when the Atlantic Council, or whatever the hell it was, the Foreign Relations Council, applauded when Biden virtually spelled out the crime of bribery, which any half-wit law student would have known in a minute, and they all applauded for the bribery. So I always like to go to our friends. So Miranda Devine wrote a very, very good column today, a very, very good analysis of it. Signalgate was a blunder, a totally unnecessary screw-up that set back the Trump team. And she goes on to say that they should accept that, but that the administration, including in that incident, is doing such a very good job and so much better than any other administration that they should just accept the punch in the face, learn how to evade it in the future, and probably, given their talent and their unbelievable ability to care about the American people, this will be a learning experience that, thank God, will have worked out right. And nobody got hurt, nobody died, nothing got interfered with. It was a very successful mission, and now they're going to be a hell of a lot more careful. She does say, however, that internally, no matter what they say, it's Miranda's opinion that Walz's colleagues will never trust him again. That she doesn't really say he should be fired for it. She kind of suggested he shouldn't. And she says, it's fair to say, however, that Walz's colleagues will never trust him again. He's embarrassed them all. Maybe, Miranda, my friend, that goes a little too far. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It could be. You never know when your own personal likes and dislikes enter into something like this. But I think the right advice is the advice that you gave him. It's not the huge deal Goldberg claimed. There were no sources, no methods, no individuals pointed out. Whatever information was given regarding battle was categorical in nature, and probably on a strict definition of classification would not be classified, although it could be too. Because remember, you always have to, when you're looking at this, you have to err on the side of they're going to overclassify. My former assistant U.S. attorney who worked for me, of whom I am very proud, and Andrew McCarthy, wrote a very similar column about blunder. But then he talks about bipartisan recklessness, who try to take this, exaggerate it way beyond what it is, just in order to embarrass, well, not just the president, but the United States, because anytime they can embarrass the United States, that is part of their Marxist agenda. The fact is that a disaster did not occur. It doesn't excuse the breach, but it certainly doesn't. It certainly gives no justification for the overreaction. I think the administration should pay attention to their friends and what they're saying to them. And I think this is made a mistake. We've learned from it. Not going to happen again. Let's move on, and let's hope that we can always have results that are this good. Because our overall plan is such a good one. Move on. Sometimes you need to know that you have to admit a mistake, take the loss, and move on. That was the suggestion of the Wall Street Journal. So I think that's all we have to say about it. And I bet it won't be covered tomorrow. Oh, let's see if we can make it a 40-day story.
Yeah.
I mean, all you can say about it is it's a mistake, but nobody got harmed, nobody got hurt. Somehow, the basic fundamentals of this mission were brilliant because it turned out brilliantly.
Right.
And we got to continue to destroy the Houthis. So how many times can we say that? We may have to say it 30 or 40 more times. We'll be back shortly.
Also point out, people say, "Oh, if this happened,
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our spring percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to mypillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Tired of volatile stocks and tiny dividend yields? Here's something different. Imagine collecting steady monthly income from America's richest oil fields without owning a single oil stock. While everyone else stresses about the market, you could be earning passive royalty income month after month. This unique investment has nothing to do with drilling, exploration, or operations. You simply collect your share of the profits when oil companies pump oil. The Oxford Club's Mark Lichtenfeld has found what he calls the perfect income investment, a unique oil royalty opportunity that's still flying under Wall Street's radar. And you can get started with just $25. Head to rudyoilboom.com now to discover more. That's rudyoilboom.com. Stop worrying about the market and start collecting oil royalty checks instead.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Well, I know after that discussion, it does raise the question, who's going to be the fall guy here? There shouldn't be one. It seemed from Miranda's column that Walls will be, although some people, because of their animosity toward Pete during the confirmation process or whatever, want to try to make it Pete hates that. So you got the let's go get Pete, let's go get Walls. Maybe we just don't go get anybody, and we say to ourselves, these are two extraordinarily patriotic and talented people. Hard to know just exactly how this occurred. It's certainly not the biggest error ever made by anyone, and might very well be the kind of error that if you make it, you just become better. And both of them have shown the capacity to be remarkably talented people. And with it all, they pulled off not just that mission, but the ones in the days ahead without any mistakes, and that are working perfect. So my answer is, why not keep them? They seem a lot better than anybody we've had there in a long time. And as far as the infighting is concerned, you're never going to stop that. I mean, read Machiavelli's The Prince, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about a White House, or any government, or team, or corporation. Mike Lindell, as you know, is both on this TV network and owns it, and runs it. But Mike also, and all of his people who work with MyPillow, want to thank you for your support of MyPillow. I mean, MyPillow has been probably one of the biggest subjects of persecution. Probably it's the biggest non-human victim. Obviously, Donald Trump and Steve Bannon and Mike himself and me and Roger Stone and you go on and on and on. Have been victims in various ways. The January 6th people, big time, but they're all human. The non-human one that's been hurt the most is My Pillow, and of course it's human. It's all the people who work for My Pillow, all the people who depend on it, all the people who love My Pillow, like me. Gosh, if I couldn't get My Pillow, I would not be able to sleep at all. I moved from New York to here in a couple of weeks because down here I had some old pillows from before, and all my pillows were up in New York, and it took a while to get them down here. And I don't know. I should do a commercial for Mike about that. If you would get me that little bathroom where you open the thing, I would do the commercial. But I was without my pillows for about 3 weeks. I had a hard time sleeping. I knew the difference. So Mike and his employees want to personally thank you for your continued support of My Pillow. They have a big allotment of their bed sheets that are earmarked for the box stores this spring. Well, they did it again. The box stores didn't come through. Yeah, right. If they can get away with it, they are still trying to persecute us. So they're going to pass the savings on to you and not wait for these communists to, change their mind. And there's no middleman. So you're going to get wholesale prices on their famous Giza Dreams and Percali bed sheets. Giza Dream, queen size, normally $139.98 down to $69.99. King size only, $79.99. Queen size. That's what I need. Percali queen size, normally $88.99. Oh, when'd you hear this? $88.99? 98 rather? Why isn't it 99, Mike? You always make it 99. It's $79.99. Now it's $89.98 for this one, but you're going to get it for $29.98.
Wow, that's huge savings.
Yeah. I think I have to get the other ones though. King size only, $34.98. So go to mypillow.com and use a promo code Lindell or call 800-859-2879. That's 800-859-2879. Free shipping is available, and it's not going to last long. They're getting rid of this stuff because it was supposed to go to the stores. When it's gone, it's gone. So I'll do mine tonight.
Yeah.
Just in case I have another move. I'm going to just take these pillows and put them in my moving box.
Yeah.
This was a very tough time, Mike. So go to mypillow.com and use promo code Lindell or call 800-859-2879 to get these amazing wholesale offers. So thank you very much for listening, and do what I tell you. Make me feel good. And you're helping a company that's on your side, boy, big time. You don't know all the stuff they've done for us, for our cause. So there was a great disclosure in Commentary Magazine by Seth Mendel. And what it is a lot of incidents where these protesters, these so-called free speech protesters, are not protesting free speech. They're acting as agents for the terrorist group Hamas. Now, for example, even the warning they got about the attack, basically a go signal to create all kinds of violent protests. Now, their protests are violent. They're not like January 6th. January 6th did have altercations with the police. And in some cases, the people acted criminally. In some cases, they acted wrongfully. In some cases, they acted even wrongfully in their own defense, to the extent that you can defend yourself against a police officer. And in some cases, they were completely victimized. But on a scale that was nothing in comparison to just a normal, usual Black Lives Matter protest, the ones that MSNBC and CNN and all the rest of the lying networks would describe as peaceful, as there was a gigantic fire behind their head. I mean, if they hadn't lost the 2% credibility they had, it went down to 1 when the guy was reporting, we're here in Indianapolis at the peaceful protests, and you hear in the background, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon, kill cops, kill whiteys. And then you see a big fire behind the guy, and then he gets hit in the head with a can. And he's still saying, a peaceful protest. This is a peaceful protest. You see, with all these Hamas people, always ends up in a fire. Fire at Columbia, fire the other day. They just love burning things. That's a crime. You would not know it in the communist Democrat cities in which they don't pay a price for that. Whereas Republicans go to jail for 3-4 years and maybe even solitary confinement for walking into the Capitol with the police inviting them in. And this is still going on. It hasn't been cleaned out yet. I mean, it's going to require, and this is no criticism because you're not going to clean this out in a day. But if you read the commentary piece, you'll see that these people like Galil and the woman up at Tufts and the others that are protesters, and they're claiming they're being thrown out because of free speech by organizing these Hamas protests. These were coordinated with Hamas. They're part of Hamas. Khalil even worked for Hamas. What judges are doing, interfering for them, only tells you we may have some real questions and real problems with our judges. And we do, and we got to face up to it. And don't try to intimidate us out of not doing anything about the crooked judges. In America, we haven't had crooked judges. Are you crazy? Every one of the Supreme Court justices in Manhattan is elected by the boss of a crooked political organization. Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx. Been that way for generations. You think there's no corruption? Judges cannot be corrupt. This is what Roberts is trying to do to us. Like, you can't criticize the judge. Well, I mean, you got as much corruption in the political process among judges as anyone else. So if of course you've got to respect the office, but on the other hand, you can't be immune to the fact that there's been way more judicial corruption than you have any sense of in the history of America, including contemporary America. If you really believe the silly Sesame Street garbage that Roberts puts out, there are no Trump judges. There are no Biden judges. There are no Obama judges. There are no. Just look at the last decision in which the Bush and the Biden judge voted to bring the prisoners back, bring the murderers back, and the Trump judge voted against it. Or would you like to take a look at the injunctions, including the nationwide injunctions? Almost every single one, more than 90% from a Democrat judge. And where a district judge gets the idea that they can issue a nationwide injunction. I mean, I'm a judge for the Southern District of New York. I can tell them what to do in California. It goes back to the story from the judge that was my mentor and second father, Judge Lloyd McMahon, who was a great judge, an extraordinarily fair and honest judge, and a Republican, but you would never know it in his rulings. And he was tough as nails. Yet, as I was describing to someone today about something else, he took sentencing so seriously that he would very often surprise people with the wisdom of his sentences not being as harsh as people might have thought it was, because he considered sentencing a sacred thing. But he would say, and boy, it applied then much less than it did now, but it applied. He said, the worst thing that could happen, he would say to me, Rudy, if you ever become a judge, just worry about this. He said, I'll tell you what happens. Every single one of my colleagues and I got here because of the political process. But some of us, when we get here and we start wearing those robes for too long, and when we walk in, everybody stands up and everybody says, Your Honor. And all of a sudden we think we were put here by God. God put me here. That's why I have these robes. That's why these people say, Your Honor this and Your Honor that. And I can yell at them if they talk harshly. He said, just remember, if you become a judge, you got here because of politics. You're human. You're just like they are. You have a very special responsibility. Make sure you do it fairly and impartially. But don't let that head get so big that you think you're too damn important. And I tell you, many of them have. I witnessed in the persecution that I went through things that I never thought I would see as a law student, a lawyer, or a pretty damn active litigator. I never thought I would see this. We have a real sickness in our judiciary right now. Not the whole judiciary. You know where they are. But where you think you can get off saying that telling public officials in California what to do when you're a judge in New York, let's see what the Supreme Court does about that, huh? The president has now announced a 25% tariff on all automobiles manufactured abroad. The Wall Street Journal editorial board, half of them have now checked into the hospital with undiagnosed conniptions. Do you know what a conniption is? Can you describe a conniption? What would you say a conniption is?
Like a way of behaving, like a certain way of behaving.
I'm not sure I know what a conniption. I know what you use the word for person getting hysterical or they go into a conniption. We have to look it up. Look up the meaning of the word conniption. But I think it means like they're getting in a frenzy. The Wall Street Journal is in a constant tariff frenzy. It makes it impossible. They make the argument against tariffs very well. The classic argument against tariffs. But what they don't do is they don't put a scorecard on the other side. So, for example, the other day, Hyundai came in and announced something like 2 or 3 factories in America. 2 or 3 of them were cars. One was actually, for the first time, they're going to move part of their steel business to America. And one would say, there could be a lot of reasons for that. Now, I did not see this reported in the Wall Street Journal. The president or CEO of Hyundai, before Trump took office, said, I have he told Politico this, so this must be true. They never would have reported it, right? Because they don't report anything that's useful to Trump. Now, there's a completely corrupt magazine and newspaper and organization. Not a newspaper, whatever the hell it is. Blog, post, bullshit thing, I don't know, whatever it is. But the head of Hyundai said, I have the answer to tariffs. We're not going to be affected by the tariffs. I'll just move my business. Well, don't they get that? Don't you have to set up a separate column, right? You say, 25% tariff imposed. From that, we get money. We get 25% on every car that comes in. From that, there may be a diminution of money that we take in on car sales and taxes and everything else. There may be some impact, if you can measure it, on prices or not. They say there's going to be a 5% impact on all cars. Now, that is a ridiculous thing that only a very stupid person would accept without further analysis. How can there be a 5% increase on all cars if there's going to be a 25% tariff on foreign cars, but no tariff on Chevrolet? Why would the Chevrolet sell for 5% more? Well, they're going to move the price up so they don't get the advantage of the tariff. Maybe they mean it's 5% more for the cars that have tariffs on it, or they mean it's an average 5% increase with with the American cars going down and the other cars going up, and it averages out at 5%. That's what I think.
That seems the most,
which is
likely.
completely deceptive to tell you that. Then it's completely deceptive. But it's a ridiculous thing. I mean, and even if it's 5%, isn't that worth it to bring the car manufacturing industry back to the United States? Whatever happened to Made in America? We don't want to pay a little bit for Made in America. We don't want to pay a little bit so that, God forbid, we get cut off from the world. We'll be self-sufficient. We don't make ships anymore. How the hell did that happen?
By the way, conniption is a fit of rage or hysterics.
That would
Pretty
fit.
much right on.
Tariff. Okay, calm down, Wall Street Journal, calm down. Let's do a couple of things here. First of all, let's find out if the tariff is actually going to go into effect, because you had a conniption over Mexico, and then they had a celebration for Trump for all the wise and sensible policies he has towards Mexico, because they avoided the tariff by doing what he wanted. So first, make sure it goes into effect. When it goes into effect, don't start throwing out 5% things that are bullshit. You're better than that. And finally, there's an offsetting benefit from tariffs. You may say it's less than the harm, but why don't you start telling us how much that is? And maybe, just maybe, we should be paying the tariff in order to be independent. So there's a lot to this, that your simplistic style and your illness of getting like so emotionally involved you can't reason anymore hurts. But there's a 25% tariff on cars, and we've already gained from it. We haven't lost yet. Haven't lost a penny yet. And we've gained 3 new car companies and about 7 new car factories that I know of. And we're not going to start, if we get hurt from this, we won't start until April 2nd. And I don't know if I can figure this out. I'll have to get an economist to help me. I mean, I can figure it out in a common sense, simplistic way that they'll just look at and go like that. And if they go like that, I'm probably right. He doesn't know economics. Yeah, you don't know life. So right now, the thought of the 25% tariff is making a fortune for us. When the tariff goes into effect, we're going to be given something back. But is this net going to be better for us? I'm almost willing to guarantee you that even if we weren't getting all these companies coming over, the additional manufacturing by our own companies would make the difference. Also, from a patriotic point of view, the idea that we can be not completely independent, but when necessary, completely independent, is worth a premium. Stick that in your Ivy League bonnet and see if you can figure it out. Maybe it's too much common sense for you guys to accept. There was, and I feel obligated to report this, there was a Gaza or Palestinian demonstration against Hamas. I'm very happy there was, because I've told you that the Palestinians almost all universally support Hamas. When you take polls, that's true. And when you see the reaction of Jordan and Egypt, it reinforces that, since they will not take Palestinians, not because of prejudice. They're the same people. There are no Palestinians. They're not a ethnic group. Palestinians are Egyptians or Jordanians, or like Arafat was an Egyptian. But their old friends and relatives don't want them back because they kill people there. Right? They won't let them in to Egypt, which is part of the problem with Trump's plan to move them out of Gaza. Nobody wants them. Well, maybe they're trying to do something about this, because they had a demonstration. They had a demonstration. Now that's a demonstration. You can see, first of all, you can tell it's like our people demonstrating. Nobody's burning anything. Nobody's fighting with anybody. Look at the difference. If the other guys were protesting, you would know, because you'd see fire. You see people getting pushed around and beaten. These people are saying this. These people are Palestinian. Those are Palestinians who somehow have overcome the brainwashing. The people you see there that are more than just a few years old were all taught in school to kill you, based on a UN printed textbook, UNRWA, now not funded by us, that Giuliani was a member of. And we can't throw him out of the country. Are the people that are stopping us from doing this sick? Steve, are they sick? I don't, sometimes I lose an ability to analyze. I just lose an ability to analyze. Can we play the videos just so then you can answer it? Let's play the video of Khalil, the guy we're having the big fight over whether we can throw him out of the United States. He's down in Louisiana now, but the New York judge wants him back in New York, and the Louisiana judge wants to have a say about whether he gets deported, except the guy in charge of immigration wants him out. I think he's going to say something.
Well, this is I know the speech this comes from, and it's where he was glorifying Hamas after one of their attacks.
Well, they have it here. They have it here. They have it here within number 3, within topic 3. Khalil addressing large crowd in celebration of Hamas.
Yes.
Can we play that?
I think that I don't know if they have a good audio of the actual words or not.
Well, it says addressing. Oh, they don't have the words? Okay.
It's
I guess he was addressing. We can't really understand what he was saying.
Either way, you can't come to our country and sort of become a rallying point for our enemies. I think that's just
I mean, there is something to aiding and abetting terrorists. When somebody's put in a terrorist category, it becomes very, very. If you're protesting because of a loss of a job, or you're protesting because of the environment, or you're protesting because of somebody was fired, or for civil rights, but if you're protesting for a group that is a designated terrorist group, that we have seen the evidence on television of their killing children and parents in front of the children, and these people are barbaric. And you're not a citizen. Maybe as a citizen, you still have a right to raise your First Amendment rights. But as a non-citizen, you have undefined less rights to due process and the First Amendment. And one of those has to be that you can't give aid and comfort to terrorists who want to kill Americans and America's allies. I mean, when you come here, you're kind of stuck with our allies.
Or you can't come and start a movement in favor of our nation's enemies and serve as the leader of such movement.
Yeah, because now you're basically threatening a war against the United States.
You are the enemy at that point.
Yes, yeah, and we don't have to let you in. Like where the concept ever came about that you have a right to come in, and we should have to set up a bunch of rules in your favor. They should be in our favor. It's our discretion whether you come in or not. And if our president doesn't want you here, that should be a pretty damn good reason why we should throw you out. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
We're actually 2 minutes from ending the show.
Yeah, not even. We have 1 minute.
Oh, well, then if we only have 1 minute left, we won't take a break. The boys have told me that, once again, I've talked too much and we have 1 minute left.
No, there's no such thing. No such thing, Mayor.
So, baseball started today, And you got to tell me the answer. Did the Yankees win or lose?
Oh, goodness gracious.
They were winning 2-1.
I don't know. Do we want the mayor to be in a good mood for the next show?
Yeah, well, he's going to have to accept it.
Well,
find
you're
out.
going to be in a good news, Mayor. The Yankees opening day defeat the Milwaukee Brewers 4-2.
Good. All right. I always like getting off to a good start.
but we need
That's nice on opening day, right? It is.
Yeah.
And then when you
the
get
Wisconsin Supreme Court, does it have any impact beating Milwaukee? Is that good for us or for them?
well, I bet you they run a lot of ads.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to pay attention too much. I think in Milwaukee they pay more attention to the
got
Green
it.
Bay Packers, right?
You got it. The Green Bay Packers.
Well, God bless America. Go to X. We'll continue with America's Mayor Live. We'll see you then. God bless America.